And I think that there's a thing about alcohol, is like you pay for it.
Yeah.
You definitely pay for it physically, but you there's like an exchange. The thing is to figure out what that exchange is. Like, what's it worth getting really lit and having an amazing time and hugging your friends, telling them you love them, and just howling. And let me tell you something. I think to this day about one of the times you and I got drunk together in Texas. When we first started going on the road together. We've been going on the road together for like a couple of years.
Yeah.
And we were in like a honky-tonk bar.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
And was it Houston or Austin?
I don't know why I thought it was just Louisville or something. I
It
don't
was
know.
somewhere in Texas.
Oh, it was Texas? Okay.
And we were hammered. And
Yeah.
we were just hugging. I'm like, dude, I have so much fun hanging
Yeah,
out with you.
yeah.
And you said the same thing. And like, we could say things that you always knew that I appreciated you as a comedian, and you always knew that we were friendly and we had some gigs together. But it took us getting drunk to like hug it out and go, dude,
Yeah.
we're having so much fun. Like,
Well, I'm pretty sure I cried.
you definitely cried.
Yeah, so that's not like...
I didn't want to bring that up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm crying right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I really am crying right now.
Yeah, because...
It's like, because I knew you're a good dude, man. You were funny as fuck. And I knew where you were because I had been where you were. You were at the launching pad. You're like, God damn, is this happening? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Am I fucked? Is it going to work out? You know,
Yeah.
there's that weird moment. And, you know, and I had already been there before, and we were friends. And I was like, dude, this is going to work. You're going to do it, 100%. And then we were drunk together, and we were talking about that moment. I think about that all the time, man. I really do.
Really?
I do now when you're killing it.
Yeah.
I'm crying. I think about that shit all the time. I do. You know, to see someone that you, like when I met you in like 2007, I mean, you'd obviously like been doing comedy a couple of years, but you were trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think about it too, because like, you know, it's hard. Like, people don't realize the opportunity when you kind of reach down and you bring somebody along for that. It's hard sometimes to convey like your gratitude, you know? So like, that was one of those times where like, when you're sober, you go like, dude, thanks so much.
Right.
Like, how many times are you going to say, you know what I mean? Like, you go, I really appreciate it. But when that goes back to like what the alcohol kind of opens up for you, is like, you let down your guard.
Yeah.
You let the vulnerability come to the surface. And I think that was really like, for me, because I've thought about it, is like the expression of gratitude overwhelmed me, because I realized how lucky I was. Like, you know, you and any number of people can bring along whoever they want on the road with them. So like, that for me was just like, I couldn't believe how lucky I was to be able to travel and do real shows, you know, do real shows with like these really appreciative audiences. And like, you're bringing me along, and like, I feel like an equal. It was overwhelming to me, you know. It was overwhelming.
You are an equal. We're all equal. It's like we're all just on like different parts of the road.
Yeah.
You know, like the road is the same road.
No,
like,
it
we're
is.
all like going.
But there's lessons. Like, there's lessons from that, you know. Like,
there's lessons that people are
Yeah, you can
willing
see
to
people,
learn
like,
of
doing it.
themselves.
of themselves.
They gotta be willing to learn it themselves to tell you. Like,
But
you have to know.
It it does. Just living through it encourages you to pass it along.
Yes.
So that's kind of the coolest part, is because like, I've really
everything.
tried to mimic that, you know. I brought a bunch of guys. Most recently, Josh Potter is this really funny dude from Buffalo, and I brought him on most of these dates. And you know, I hook up. You know, I take care of his travel. I
know
pay him,
you do.
and
You
it's
brought
like,
him to the ice house.
yeah, and he's a great. He just moved here.
He's a
just
good
moved here.
dude, man.
Yeah,
He's a good
He's
dude.
really funny. Really, really funny.
You know, Ari, one of the only times I ever cried on a podcast was listening to a podcast where you were talking about your and I relationship. It's one of the few times I ever cried, like listening to a podcast. I was like, wow, this is like heavy emotional. Where you're talking about like me and you going on the road like in the early days.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Oh, it was amazing, man.
What was that on?
It was your podcast where we did the a Buck Hunter podcast.
Oh, okay. Was the beginning of that, the end of that?
It was the end.
Okay.
It was the end where you were talking about our relationship when you first started out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was good to go from open mics to be able to see like you said, just like, oh, this is like a real crowd. They're here.
It's so big. Some people never even get a taste of that.
Yeah, and then you come back.
to do that.
I'd always try to go back on Sunday night to the potluck. Oh, excuse me, it was Sunday then. And then it was like to go back to dose of reality. Where it's like, oh,
Right.
this sucks, but I know I can do it now.
Yeah.
But you all knew, like, everybody knows they kind of can do it. That's why they're trying to do it. But you need someone who's ahead of you.
Yeah.
That like holds a flashlight.
Yeah.
It's like, come on,
Take a look at this shit.
come on, we're all the same. Keep going, keep
Like
going.
when you took me to Laughs Unlimited, bro. And I bombed in front of you for hours on end.
Like Ari, to know you from the time where I first met you to you having your own Comedy Central show to having your own Netflix special was just
Double
like, wow.
special.
So special.
Yeah, 2 hour special.
You had to do 2. You pretentious fuck.
245s.
But it was just
245s.
good enough. Still a half hour more than anybody. But
Yeah.
it was like, wow.
Yeah, it's weird when you set your reality one way and then it like just slowly change over time. in
Yeah,
terms
your
of, like-
reality is like, and that's where it seems counterintuitive because you seem like you're trying to hold down the competition. The problem is, if you hold down the competition, you inevitably hold down yourself. You don't mean to.
Yeah, the bar set lower.
It's not just that. It's like you're looking at it the wrong way. It's one of the reasons why I always took killers on the road.
Yeah, that
Like,
was tough.
Dude, we used to take Joey Diaz, we took Duncan, we took Ari. Like I always took murderers on the road.
Anybody following, electively bringing Joey is out
Always,
of
I
their
bring.
mind. Yeah.
I brought
I remember
every
it
time
was,
I
it was
could.
me for the longest time, me, then Diaz, then Rogan. Great show. And then it was in Austin. Diaz goes, hey, I'm going to go first today. You're going to go last. You're going to go second, I mean. And I didn't know now. It's just he likes to go to sleep. But then
Yeah.
I was like, am I being punished? What did I do?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
understand.
I know.
I didn't do anything.
It's a terrible place to be following Joey, unless it's not.
Right.
See, the thing is, if you
Unless
love
you embrace
Joey,
it, yeah.
like,
Yeah, that
I'm,
was a good crowd.
I'm the #1 Joey Diaz fan in the world, other than like Joey Diaz's wife and his daughter.
Yeah.
It's like
fair.
there's like everybody else is like
Sure.
we're all. If you might be the same, but you definitely don't love him more than I do. So,
Right.
So for me, it was like taking that guy on the road. It's like I want to see him.
That's the only way you learn that, doing stand up long enough. If you embrace the person in front of you, like you embrace it, that this
Yeah.
is like you enjoy it, you can follow. You can go back.
follow
You can
it.
you can follow.
Because what people feel is you being nervous and
Yes.
fearful.
if you're like, this is awesome.
Dude, I've been there. I mean, I followed Jim Brewer once when I was like 26, 25. Changed my fucking life.
Yeah.
He crushed so hard, and I ate so many dicks.
Yeah.
I choked to death. Like for the rest of my life, it does never gonna feel as bad as it felt then.
Yeah.
When I was like 24 or 25, whatever the fuck I was. I might have been younger. I didn't know shit. And Jim and I were just starting out. And Jim was the middle act, and I was the headliner. But just because I have a good manager, because he got me. I mean, really, like, I couldn't follow Jim Brewer back then. I just couldn't.
Yeah. No, he must have been just
I did. We did like 3 shows, I think. I think we did like 2 shows Friday and 1 show Saturday where I followed him. And then the second show Saturday was so bad. It was so bad. I went down so hard. Made me seriously considering not doing comedy anymore. I was
Really?
like,
When you're
"Ooh."
like, fuck, what am I
I was
doing?
like, I ate so many dicks. This guy looked at me in the audience and he goes, "You're not fucking funny." I'm
Oh,
like,
God.
And I'm like,
You're not
he's
wrong.
right. I'm like, if I'm being honest with myself, he's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible, man. I was dressed like a fucking Guido trying to get some pussy at a disco. It was a disaster.
Your old headshots are some of the best old headshots.
They're the worst. I had a torn
who was that
ACL.
guy?
I was super
Oh,
depressed. My girlfriend dumped me. I just moved to New York. It was a combination of all sorts of things. And then Brewer.
Flamethrower shit.
He used to do this bit about coming home drunk and meeting his mom, and his mom turned into a monster. It was so good.
Yeah.
He was crushing so hard. He'd be like, Brewer has crazy facial expressions.
Crazy, yeah.
He'd be like stumbling around drunk. He was killing it so hard.
You
I
must
was-
have followed some savages in New York that you couldn't
Yeah.
follow, right? Bert.
Oh, you're talking to me?
trying
Yeah.
to bring you back in. He's your
No,
friend.
I'm fucking high as shit.
Got high again.
I'm just listening.
No.
I feel like I'm like in a plane.
No,